Over the past 30 days, PulseChain is up 23%, PulseX is up 25%, INT is up 65%. We're going to talk about that one and why it's up so much. That one's pumping like crazy. Hex is up 10%. Okay, combined Hex on both chains is just under 3 cents. But why do these coins have potential to pump? I'm going to tell you in this video. Stick around to the end because we're going to talk about the good and bad and some theories behind what's going on. So if you really want to know what's going on underneath the hood on the PulseChain ecosystem, listen to this video, like and subscribe. I'm going to tell you what's going on. Now, if you've been on Twitter, if you're deep in the ecosystem, you probably know a lot of this already. You've probably heard about a lot of this stuff from the various content creators that we have. We've got over 140 content creators that put out content every single day that tell you what's going on, where the money is moving. We're going to talk about exactly that. We're going to talk about where the money is moving. And by the way, if you want me to cherry pick just how good things are going in the PulseChain ecosystem, if you want to see what you're missing out on over here, if you're not in the ecosystem yet, you could always, if you want to give yourself FOMO, guys, you can click on this all-time low measurement on gopulse.com. Link in description below. This website is great for new people getting in. You need to check out gopulse.com. Link is literally right below. It's got links to everything else, right? Like the bridge and all this other stuff. But, if you want to really put things in perspective, Hex is up over a 2x. INC is up over a 10x. Okay? PulseX is up about 6x. And PLS is up about 3.7x from the lows. Okay? Now that said, PulseX is still below sacrifice rates. PulseChain is about 56% higher than sacrifice rates. And combined Hex still struggling with 3 cents. We're going to talk about that because this ecosystem, guys, has a lot of potential. It's really still early, in my opinion. It's still early. Things have not even gotten started yet in terms of the bull run for the PulseChain ecosystem. Bitcoin's at $60,000, $62,000, I believe, today. And that's going to spark some engagement, okay? Just like every single time, every single cycle. When Bitcoin pumps, people get excited. And then people buy things like Ethereum on their centralized exchanges. And then the people that want to take more risk for more reward, right? The people that want the higher X's, the real potential life-changing money, they go into DeFi. They get their own crypto wallet. InternetMoney.io, Rabby.io, MetaMask.io. Get your real wallet, and then you have access to PulseChain and all the DeFi stuff on PulseChain. All the coins on PulseX. Guys, PulseX is the decentralized exchange on PulseChain. But for that, you can't just be holding coins in Coinbase. Anyway, that's obvious. All right, let's follow the money and where it's been going recently because there's some pretty big stuff going on, pretty big moves with the sacrifice address, but then I'm going to touch on even more stuff. And I'm really just repeating what a lot of other people have said, but if you haven't heard it by now, or if you're new or you don't understand what's going on, I'm going to demystify all that for you. So let's just go over a couple people's tweets, all right? The sacrifice address is activating what some people are calling a magic carpet ride, okay? This guy, Money Gang Crypto, give him a follow. He's been doing a good job explaining all this stuff, all right? What does magic carpet ride mean? Everyone's so worried about a rug pull. It's the inverse of a rug pull, okay? What if there's unreasonable buying? What if that buying is coming from, the very creator of the coins himself? Similar to a stock buyback. Why wouldn't somebody want to buy their own coins? Now, the norm in crypto is for the VCs and the insiders and everything to just permanently dump on retail forever while they generate demand by marketing campaigns. There's nothing new under the sun here. Now, this could happen in PulseChain too, but only to a much, much smaller degree. There's very, very little VC money relative to coins like Solana, which we'll talk about at the end of the video. Look, there's been millions of dollars moving around from the Sacrifice wallet, which has previously held about $600 million worth of DAI. It's the world's largest holder of the DAI stablecoin. Okay, DAI, it's a stablecoin, it's worth $1. Now, Richard Hart, the founder, is giving generic ballpark estimates of up to $240,000 Bitcoin in the next bull run. So we could have an epic bull run ahead of us, guys. We really can have an epic bull run. Not a bull run cut short like some people think. Now, obviously, I want to be optimistic. We have to be ready for everything. But I want to be optimistic because I want all of our bags to pump for a very long time. I want to get rich with all you guys. Of course I do. But really, things are lining up in the macro to kind of confirm that as well. Now, I'm trying to find a particular tweet. Go watch this video, guys. $177 million. Long story short, guys, I'm not going to do the chain analysis. If you really are interested in all the blockchain data, you could find it by following some of these people. Get involved in the PulseChain ecosystem. They're going to tell you about it probably sooner than I will. 177 million DAI stablecoin is currently being put to work in protocols like Spark.fi, Aave, Compound, some of the safest and oldest DeFi protocols on the Ethereum side. And that's earning a nice, stable 5 to 7% yield, APY. Okay, 5 to 7% on $177 million is $30,000 a day. Okay, $30,000 a day. And you could say whatever you want about this. Some people speculate, oh, it could pay for lawyer fees. Sure, it could pay to pump the ecosystem. Sure. Or, really simply put, it just could be sitting there to earn income so that it's not losing value to inflation, because fiat stablecoins, guys, they're getting wrecked all the time. It's a race to the bottom to see which government can, devalue their currency the fastest. All right, that's why we've seen Bitcoin reach all-time highs, actually, in the form of other currencies. Like versus the Turkish lira, of course, Bitcoin's at an all-time high, right? If you want to count that. Fiat currencies are going down, so it's a way to protect these currencies from continuing to lose their value. But we'll see if earning 5 to 7% is even enough to outpace the real inflation. Not the quoted inflation, but the real devaluing of your purchasing power. Anyway, it's a smart move regardless of what happens with that money. All that stablecoin sitting idle is probably better used. Well, at least 177 million of it, almost a third of it, is being used to earn yield. It's earning tens of thousands of dollars a day. And this is bullish, as we know, because the sacrifice address, the origin address, the flush address, all of these addresses in the PulseChain and HEX ecosystem have only ever been benevolent. Okay, all these people saying, oh, Richard's going to dump on you and all this stuff about the founder is going to sell on your head. They're probably projecting because that's what every single other founder, every single other VC that gets in early on a project does. PulseChain is different. Okay, you have actually hit the 1 in 100 that's different this time. When you're in the PulseChain ecosystem, you've hit the one that's different. Now, we already talked about the stablecoin yield in the last video, but there's some new developments. Basically, the sacrifice address has also been seen bridging and buying HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX, and PLS. Okay, buying their own coins. And why wouldn't you want your founder to do that? Why wouldn't you want them to express belief in their own ecosystem? Not to mention, it also signals legal confidence. I mean, to me, it signals that whatever poorly worded, misinformation and the allegations against Richard Hart versus the SEC, whatever weak argument they have, Richard's already expressed fighting back with top-tier lawyers, 5 different cities, all across the world, ex-SEC people, very, very intimidating lawyers. He's got a ton of money, 11 lawyers on his legal team, and there's no way that if he were the owner of this sacrifice address, there's no way he'd be moving money around like this without at least probably some buy-in, some okay from the legal side of things. But anyway, without getting too much into speculating about what all this money is doing, let's just look at what has happened. Motley the Investor here. Go follow Motley Investor as well. He's proven, you can prove this on DBank if you really care. I don't want to waste too much time on this because I don't want people to just depend on other people pumping their bags for them, right? We need onboarding, we need new users, yes. But this is a positive signal. So it's worth mentioning $1.3 million of $23 million that was bridged into the PulseChain network from the sacrifice address has already been used to buy up HEX, Pulse, PulseX, and INC, which is why we're seeing in the past day, well, let's look at the past week, giant gains. Okay, giant gains. 2 days ago, we had some epic green candles, okay? Especially on INC. We're going to talk about why that's important. But you can prove that here, and he's still got $22 million of buying power left. So this address, guys, this is a large address, large whale in the PulseChain ecosystem that's getting people excited because they've got $22 million of buying power left. Now, in the grand scheme of things, guys, that's actually not a lot of money, but in crypto and in a brand new, nascent emerging ecosystem like PulseChain, this actually is a ton of money. Like $22 million. We've seen what $1 million can do. Imagine that times 22, because every time you buy, the green candles are the best advertising. It brings in other people for these knock-on effects. So what is the opposite of a rug pull? Unreasonable buying, magic carpet ride. This might be the beginning of what it looks like. Okay. And this is just proof of all, the coins that the sacrifice address has bought. Anyway, if you're not following Pulse Alerts, you would have also been able to see this ahead of time just by following Pulse Alerts over here, okay? Let's scroll down a little bit and we could see millions of dollars. Look at this, 150K, 3.7 million Tether bridged into PulseChain, 3.8 million bridging into PulseChain, USDC. And there's a big one over here somewhere. Here it is. Yep, $10 million of DAI stablecoin. And of course, when one big whale does this, a bunch of smaller, but still bigger guys, they follow suit, right? Because look, after the 10 million, you've got, 163K, 124K, 199K. So all it takes is one big whale for a couple of sharks to follow, a couple of dolphins to hop on board, a couple of squids, and the shrimp is, all the retail shrimp are probably last, right? But this is how it works. Follow Pulse Alerts if you want to be first to understand what's going on and where the money is moving. Pay attention, or you could just follow me, like and subscribe. Now, we need to talk about the fact that INC has gone up 68% in the past 7 days. 7% today. This one had been the most wrecked. For people that don't know, INC token is the reward token for yield farming on the PulseX decentralized exchange. If you want to earn INC, the only way to do it is by providing liquidity, and providing liquidity in certain particular coins. Or you could just buy it on the open market, which is what a lot of people have clearly been doing. So INC had a huge drop, right? Look at this giant drop because everyone was just selling their yield farming profits. This is what most people do in every yield farm, right? They make the yield farm token and then they dump it for the token that they like. But, people are speculating that there will be future use cases of INC, voting in the DAO one day when PulseX reaches a certain level of maturity. That's a big speculation, but it's also been commented in the code that might actually be true. Anyway, think whatever you want. Speculate about whatever the future of this coin might be. But after it flatlined and died, it went from $80 down to 40 cents, 99.9% drop. It's rose from the dead in a pretty epic way lately. It's actually rebounded harder than all of the other coins, the other core coins, I should say, in the Richard Heart ecosystem. So INC, I did not have this on my agenda. I did not see this coming, but I always knew it could be a sleeper cell. I always knew INC, you don't want to completely ignore it. But wow, the amount that it recovered and rebounded, it's very elastic. It went from 40 cents to $4. So it did a 10x in the past month or so here. Look, all the way from 39 cents, 40 cents to $4.6. So over a 10x, really, over a 10x. Now, if you're the kind of guy that just likes to chase green candles, well, that's probably a bad strategy. You shouldn't just buy the greenest thing, but we know people do that anyway. So here's one really interesting psychological trick that could be happening in the PulseChain ecosystem, right? INC could be the spear. And what I mean is that it could be the trigger that incentivizes people to get into all the other core coins and then all the other ecosystem coins in general. So if people are chasing the green candles like they often do, people are very simple, right? They like confirmation bias. They like to buy green, even though you should be buying the red. You should be buying the depression down here. People just love to buy green. They can't help themselves. It's called confirmation bias because it's less scary to buy knowing that everyone else already bought. It's hard to do the thing that's not popular. Even if you see the on-chain metrics, it's hard because we like to fit in. We're psychological. We like to do what everyone else is doing. But if you want to mint this coin and you don't want to buy it on the open market, but you now perceive this coin as valuable, oh, INC, it's the hot new thing. It must actually have value. I was wrong about INC is probably what some people are thinking, right? And they want to get themselves a bag. Well, the way to do that without buying it on the open market is to go to app.pulsex.com. This is the decentralized exchange, right? You can download it locally if you want to, or you could run the IPFS link for simplicity for the tutorial. We'll do that. This looks like every other decentralized exchange. And in order to mine INC, you go to liquidity right over here, guys. You provide liquidity, you add it over here. That's going to give you a PLP token. Then you go to the earn tab. Look at the top left over here. You go to farms. You take that PLP token that you got from adding liquidity and you mine INC token in one of these farms. And look at how high these yields are. After 9 months, usually the yields go down and get wrecked forever. The yields have actually gone up a whole lot recently because you're getting paid out yield in the form of INC. So the fact INC did a 10x, these APRs, doubled or tripled because of that. Okay, so these all have different risks and rewards. These all have different degrees of impermanent loss. You need to know what you're doing. Don't just do this blindly just to earn INC token because you might end up with more of one coin and less of another coin. And really, you might have wanted the other coin more, specifically in these stablecoin pairs. These are paying out insane yields, 130% APY. But just know that, if in a bull run, if you've got money in the DAI PLS liquidity pair, you're going to end up with less pulse and more DAI. And maybe you want that. Maybe you kind of want to get paid to scale out. If you're a whale, this is a great idea for a whale that wants to exit because you're getting INC in the process. You're not hurting the price. There's a whole bunch, and you're providing liquidity. So you're making the whole ecosystem better for other whales to get in and out with less slippage. You understand what I mean here? So step 1, go to liquidity, add liquidity. Step 2, go to the farms, pick the farm you want and connect your wallet and stake the PLP in the farm. It's a 2-step process. Liquidity tab, farms tab. All right. You take that liquidity, park it in the farm. You're earning yield. Okay. Just clicking buttons, but make sure you know what you're doing. This is not for everybody. I've got plenty of videos about impermanent loss, about yield farming. Just scroll back in my old videos. But what I'm trying to say, guys, is that by INC being the spear, by INC being the hot, shiny thing. Okay, look, I've got a tweet about this. If people want to chase the greenest candle, the only way to get that without buying is by providing LP, which requires owning Hex, Pulse, and PulseX often in every single farm over here. You've got to own at least one of them. At least you've got to own Pulse or Hex or INC or PulseX or all three. So what does this do? It creates buy pressure. It creates buy pressure as people rush to buy these coins to provide liquidity to get the yield. And it creates thicker liquidity order books, which allows whales to get in. Guys, people talk about we don't have centralized exchanges. We don't have enough liquidity. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you want whales to come in and drop millions of dollars on your chain to pump up the price, you need to allow them to do that without slippage, without as much slippage. So you can't really do a $100 million buy order without eating tons of slippage on PulseX today. But with INC pumping, it incentivizes thicker, girthier liquidity, which in turn incentivizes buy pressure. So it's a double whammy, right? You get buy pressure from people having to buy these coins to provide liquidity if they want to earn the shiny object, the INC shiny thing, and it incentivizes higher liquidity in general, which will attract bigger players to the ecosystem. Shout out to this one guy down here, Crypto Kings, true legend over here. Give him a follow. He was the one that had this idea. He put this idea into my head originally. And I was like, yeah, it'd be cool if that happened. You know, he literally said this to me. Like, I remember 2 months ago, Crypto Kings, we were talking. He was like, wouldn't it be crazy if the OA or if the sacrifice address pumped INC? Because INC could be the spear. And I was like, yeah, it's an interesting theory. It would be cool. And he was right. Okay, it just happened today. So I got to give props to that dude. All right, you know who you are. By pumping INC, the LP on PulseX goes higher. Whales could be enticed for higher APYs. They move money out and provide LP. And once the order books are thick enough, the Goliaths of the space can move in with big money without terrible slippage. So congrats to you, Crypto Kings. You hit it on the nose there. Now, for people that don't care about all that complicated stuff, guys, if you know nothing else about this whole thing, right? If you're brand new, if you want to fall back on the main narratives, okay, Hex is a better Bitcoin, does things Bitcoin can't, trustless yield, no middleman, isolated modular code, safer, better logo, better community, long-term holders. It's made a lot of people rich, okay? PulseChain, it's better Ethereum, it's cheaper, faster, more price potential. Cycle 1, way more price potential. It's better for the environment if you care about that, okay? It's not an ETH killer, by the way. People think PulseChain is an Ethereum killer. PulseChain is symbiotic with Ethereum, okay? It's there to split the load. So we're not an ETH killer narrative, we're an ETH helper. We share the load. Ethereum's too expensive. Share the load. And so it's a full system state copy as well, world's largest airdrop. All your coins, all your balances from before May 13th, 2023 are copied onto PulseChain. You might have free coins. Check it out. Use the airdrop checker at pulsecoinlist.com, link in description below. And finally, if you don't already know, PulseX. Typo there. PulseX. Great job. PulseX is a better Uniswap. So imagine if Uniswap turned on the buy and burn function, turned on the fee switch, and so the volume of Uniswap, essentially the volume of PulseX, is directly correlated with the price of the PulseX token. The more volume is done on PulseX, the more funds are sent to a buy and burn address. That buy and burn address is going to buy the price of its own token up using the fees generated from all the trading volume. And it's like a hard-coded buyer of last resort. This is what exchanges do in the mainstream real world, but it's now just code doing what exchanges always did. So PulseX will be a success in terms of price as more volume and more energy is put into PulseX, the trading platform itself. So you get to own a piece of the casino here. That's why a lot of people love PulseX. This is also under the sacrifice price right now, okay? Just so you know. Hex, 4 years of flawless operation. I could give you all the narratives, right? I can give you all the narratives, but we all just care about price going up. Everyone just wants the number to go up. So whatever appeals to you, oh my God, Richard's going to buy, or the origin address is going to buy. If that's enough for you, well, we've got that narrative too. Okay, we've got all kinds of narratives, some cool INC stuff going on. If that's what you want, just don't ignore all the action happening is what I'm saying, guys. Don't ignore all the action. But now we got to talk about the negative side, right? What about the sell side? What about the sell side? And this is a really interesting concept of just framing in general. We could look at the good stuff or we could look at the bad stuff. But I'm a big fan of positive framing. Okay, positive framing. Yes, we're not ignoring all the negative stuff, but I'm going to tell you the bad, the good, the bad. I'm going to tell you why the bad actually isn't that bad if you frame it correctly. So we've got a whole bunch of sell pressure as well in the ecosystem, right? There's a buyer called Bank X, right? There's a big company out there that got their hands on a whole bunch of HEX and basically just put it as sell side liquidity, right? So this Bank X protocol is selling millions of HEX, $14 million of HEX on the sell side of eHEX in particular, Ethereum version of HEX, okay? So there's $14 million of sell pressure, and you might think, oh my God, that's so scary. How are we ever going to get through that? $14 million in the grand scheme of things. In crypto, guys, when the bull market comes back, it's actually not that much. I know it sounds like a lot because we'd all love to have $14 million. I know. But for the big boys, okay, for the real world out there, it's kind of nothing. It can be chewed through in a month or less. Okay, so we can chew through this in less than a month if market sentiment gets really high. And it's over on the Ethereum side, which is actually more accessible. Okay, so people that are buying into this, mainstream people that don't know how to bridge into PulseChain, that want to buy into this $14 million sell wall, they can do that much easier because they can just go to any Ethereum DEX like they're used to. You don't have to tell them about the bridge and PulseX DEX. They can just go to CowSwap, or they can just go to Matcha, or, they can just go to 1inch or whatever. And they could buy all the HEX up here. But now, we do have to acknowledge this, right? We have to acknowledge that there's $14 million of sell pressure on single-sided liquidity on Uniswap V3. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. 14 million sell pressure, okay? In the grand scheme of things, look what Ripple does every quarter, guys. Ripple sells more than that in a month. Every single month. Ripple selling, look, Q1 2023, Ripple sold $360 million. Let's divide that by 3. That's $120 million in a month. So Ripple's able to sustain their prices somehow. And people are always wondering, oh, where's the demand going to come from? How is there possibly going to be enough demand? We got to think with an abundance mindset here, guys. I know it's cheesy, it's corny to say. You really have to frame things in a way that's like, look, if Ripple can get past literally the company dumping on their heads every single month, Ripple can survive $120 million a month of sell pressure from the company, and they just tell you about it. They're not trying to hide it, okay? Well, Ripple is somehow staying afloat, and they've got 10 times worse conditions than us. It makes having to worry about a $14 million sell wall look like peanuts, okay? It looks like, oh my, like, what are you worried about here? Now, yes, it's a lot of money. It's going to probably stagnate HEX for a little bit of time, but it's not worth being a doomer about, okay? Because people get wrapped up in the narrative of, oh, look at all the sell pressure, BankX, the VCs from, that one VC company. People also talk about the one VC company. Shout out to your friend Sami over here. He's another guy. You got to follow him, all right? He's going to give you the good and the bad. He's going to talk about both sides. But then what I'm saying is some people get so wrapped up in, different aspects of the truth that they downward spiral and they think, how are we ever going to survive this? And they just get caught in these negative thought patterns, okay? Here is the truth. Your friend Sami, go follow him. There was a venture capital firm, or let's just call it a small group of investors, because it's not like the other VCs, right? It's not like Andreessen Horowitz, or it's not like A16Z, all right? There's a guy out there, sacrificed $29 million for PulseChain. He's got over $135 million in size today, and likes to sell. Okay, likes to sell because when you have investors to, fund and to appease, you might sell at a 2x, you might sell at a 10x. I know a lot of us out there, we're in it for much more than that. We want way more than a 10x. Oh, I do, at least. But when you've got guys with this size, they do tend to sell even at a 1.5x, because when you've got 135 million, if you make 50% on that, that's $70 million. You know what I mean? So the game changes when you're a whale. The game changes when you're a whale. Now, look at this. See, I love this because Sami understands what's going on here. Most likely, he would never exit unless he helped to do a big marketing campaign and push first. This is standard whale practice. So wink, wink, all you whales out there, if you want to do some marketing for us to pump all of our bags, if you need an exit, but you need more liquidity, 1, you could pump INC. 2, you could do what Solana does and just propaganda everybody. Okay, brainwash everybody out there. Be my guest. I don't have the money to run these giant marketing campaigns, but would you be mad? Ask yourself, would you be angry if a VC ran a huge marketing campaign to pump your bags for you so that they could exit? You probably wouldn't even notice they were exiting in the flurry of activity and all the green candles. You probably wouldn't even notice, right? Now, I hope this is happening. This is Sami. This is wishful thinking on both of our parts, right? Please, whales out there, if you want exits, increase the liquidity, get us on some centralized exchange listings, shake some hands, kiss some babies in the background, grease the wheels a little bit and run a marketing campaign. Be my guest. Please, manipulate my bags in the up direction. Please, whales, please. So I'm just saying, I don't lose sleep over this. Yes, this is something to watch out for. Yes, this $14 million is something to watch out for. But these are small problems in the grand scheme of things, guys. Look at Solana, all right? How much Solana does VCs own? They own 30% of the whole supply. All right, we're talking about $135 million versus 30% of the entire supply is backed by venture capital in Solana, and they have to sell. They sell slowly over time as they generate demand by doing the classic VC playbook. Sami knows what he's talking about. Marketing pushes, and they dump on retail. And they'll dump for a 2x, they'll dump for a 10x. 10x is amazing to a venture capitalist. If you turn 100 million into a billion, you're like a god in the VC world. But us plebs out here, retail, we want 100x or more. I do. Okay. I'm just speaking for me, I guess. But I'm sure a lot of you guys are in it for the money as well. We're in it for the glory and the money and the freedom. It's all the same. It's all the same to me. Top 10 Solana holders. Who owns the most Solana in 2024? Look, guys, look down here. This is how most average blockchains look. They have, we're going to allocate this much to the funder, to the founders, this much to the validators, this much strategic auction, public auction. Like, what does a strategic sale even mean, right? They're putting names on these to basically tell you, here's where we're giving all the insider money. The team, the foundation, the community reserve, the public auction, the validator sale, the seed sale. FTX owns like over $1 billion. FTX owns $1.2 billion, I think. Yeah, look down here. $1.2 billion FTX, Solana. Do you see people crying and worrying every day about, oh my God, FTX is going to crush the Solana price forever. I'm never going to buy Solana. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you see that too. All I'm saying is you have a choice about how to view things. You have a frame and a lens, and you can decide where to shine the light. So I could FUD Solana all day long. I could say, look at the $1.2 billion. Look at the 30% backed by VCs. Look at all these VC insiders. Look at this. Dominated by VC insiders. Ooh, evil. With 48% going to the founding team and investors. So I could tell you about how bad Solana is. But instead, what I'm going to tell you is that PulseChain is better because we don't have this negative externality. PulseChain is better because we don't have 48% going to the founding team and investors. And you know what? Solana did pretty all right, didn't they? Solana did. Solana went from $11 to $130. They did over a 10x in the past couple of months when the bull technically hasn't even started yet. They've done a 10x. And that's VC-funded pumps right there. That is a VC-funded pump entirely. And I can tell you, look, if Solana can do this with all the negative externalities of all these evil VC insiders, doesn't it make worrying about a $135 million venture capitalist and a $14 million sell wall? It makes it seem small. It makes it seem so very small, doesn't it? So these are things to worry about. But hey, look, when this gets eaten through, and the more of this that gets dumped, the more of this $135 million that gets dumped, Sami's going to tell you when he dumps, right? Sami's going to say, look at these red candles. He's dumping again. The venture capital guy is dumping again. And not only Sami, everyone's going to update you. We're all manic about this in the PulseChain ecosystem, right? But you could take that information and you could say, oh, good, he sold more at the bottom. Or, oh, good, we're chewing through the sell wall. Because we know after the sell wall, it's just, there's nothing there. Super thin liquidity. It's what Dipcatcher calls a roof pull, right? When you've got thin liquidity and blue skies and uncharted territory, the sky's the limit. The price can pump like crazy in that short period of time. That's what we saw with HEX as well. But just look, I can show you, 22. We're worried about one venture capital firm, one guy or one group of guys. I'd rather be worried about that one guy than 22 venture capitals. I'd rather have to deal with the sell pressure of a couple of lesser known individuals than Pantera Capital and A16Z and Coinbase Ventures and Jump Crypto and Paradigm and Polychain. These are the big boys, okay? And so these are the guys with the money to basically convince retail to buy their bags. That's what's happening. Now, that said, any VCs out there listening, I'm not mad at you. I know the business. I know the game. Hey, feel free to fund a marketing campaign. Just saying if you're listening. But framing, guys. Framing is what it's all about. So, look, if you found this valuable, like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. It all helps PulseChain go viral, okay? I'm here to pump all of our bags. We're in a bull market now. We've got a little pumperoni on the daily chart, or the weekly, let's say. Things are looking pretty good. INC could be the spear. Could incentivize buy pressure. Could incentivize higher liquidity. Could entice more whales. Big money to flow in. Now, if you don't know how to get into PulseChain, just follow all the links in my description below, guys. GoRealDeFi.com. GoPulse.com. PulseCoinlist.com. Those 3 sites alone. Hex Scout, by the way, you've got a portfolio tracker called HexScout.com. All these links are in my description. Check these links out. Do not be late to the party. I've been packing my bags for the past 9 months, all right? Well, 7 months, I guess. I've been dollar cost averaging at the lows. I've been buying the dips because I really believe this whole ecosystem has not even had its time to shine yet. But we're up a little bit. We've got hope. We've got optimism. We'll see where things go. See you on the next video, guys.